War on China, War on American People. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, is reportedly on her way to Taiwan in what can only be described as a deliberate, gratuitous provocation of China. The normies will undoubtedly object that Pelosi has the freedom to travel to other democratic countries, and other such nonsense. For the record, Taiwan is not a separate country from China, despite what the official U.S. government position claims. However, that gibberish is the same as what was used against Ukraine. She had the freedom to join whatever military alliance she desired. It's about freedom, democracy, and our principles, etc. For many years, Western think tanks have predicted a confrontation with China as if it were a foregone conclusion, a destiny predetermined. The Atlantic Council released a paper in September 2016 that foresaw a future characterized by the breakdown of order, violent extremism, and an era of permanent conflict. Russia and China are the official adversaries. A comprehensive report titled Providing for the Common Defense was released by a bipartisan congressional commission 2 years later, and it made the case that the United States must get ready for destructive battles with the two resurgent countries. Nowhere in this paper is it suggested that such a war should be avoided, and the U.S. leadership has constantly tried to exacerbate tensions rather than ease them, with the exception of the 4 short years of the Trump administration. Then, in February 2021, Admiral Charles Richard, the commander of U.S. Strategic Command, urged the military and civilian leaders of the country to look for innovative ways to counter challenges from China and Russia, including the real potential of nuclear conflict. Why? As a result of began to aggressively undermine international standards by Moscow and Beijing. But are wars the most effective means of upholding these international norms? Why is the Anglo-American ruling class so eager to start wars? The only constant aspect of their foreign policy has been war. According to a 2003 assessment by a group of American researchers, there have been 248 armed wars in 153 different countries since the end of World War II. Between the conclusion of World War II and 2001, the United States conducted 201 military actions abroad. Since then, more operations, such as those in Afghanistan and Iraq, have been conducted. In other words, since World War II, more than 80% of all military activities abroad have been conducted by just one country. Is this a result of how resolutely ungrateful Americans are? That's obviously not the case. During the entire time I'd been observing American politics, voters consistently supported anti-war candidates. Yet somehow, there is always more conflict. The fraudulent monetary system that has been imposed on us for centuries is one of the root causes of war because it is systemic in nature. What's the aim of it all, though? Given that they recently spent 20 years in Afghanistan attempting to defeat the Taliban and failing, it is obvious that they cannot possibly be so stupid. Even the Pentagon's own war simulations came to the conclusion that a confrontation with China would quickly result in the destruction of their entire Pacific Fleet. So the dangers are obvious. What advantages might such dangers reasonably outweigh? The crucial thing to understand in this situation is that the American people, not China, are the main targets of the war against China. A radical crackdown on dissent against racists, Nazis, deplorables, enemy sympathizers, domestic extremists, insurrectionists, and other types of thought criminals would be possible at the same high cost as the shiny new world war in the Pacific, which would be very effective at diverting attention from the home crises that were spreading abroad. If tyranny and persecution come to our land, it will be under the pretext of battling a foreign adversary, James Madison forewarned us. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel.